One of the arguments against making reparations to African Americans is that once they get the money, they're going to squander it away. So, what's the point in giving them? So, history is a good place where people look to see how people behaved in the past to get a sense of how they will behave in the future. So, back in 1820, between 1820 to 1860, there were 5 acres of land, roughly from 82nd Street to 89th Street, that we're seeing here, that were owned predominantly by African Americans. And these were people that had regular jobs, and unlike most of the people around them, they were also educated. As in, they could read, and that was a big thing back then. And they made this village would grow to have 225 African Americans, mainly, with a few immigrants. And those Irish and immigrants, they usually rented from the African Americans. I'm going to give some names, don't worry about it. So we had Andrew, 28, a shoe shiner, and he owned 3 lots of land. We have Haitian-born Charles, and he owned a home that he shared with his wife and son and another family. We have Sarah Wilson, and she owned her house, and she was a washerwoman. Philip Dunn is mentioned. He's 37 and he's an Irish policeman, and he rented his house from an African American grocer called William Pease. And Nancy Moore, she owned a large home. So we have these people owning homes a long time ago and owning and managing them. They lost their homes as is usually the case when African Americans do something for themselves, the government comes along, or some activities that the government, some injustice that the government does not redress comes along. So Central Park is then changed into a park in the 1850s to 1860s. And they're taken away from the land is taken away from them as it goes. It was first taken away from the Lenape, and then it's taken away from the African Americans. And my concern is, where did they put them actually? Could they not have kept, Central Park is about 853 acres. What would have been the big deal if you just preserved them in that area? What would have been a bigger deal if you had given them land around nearby the park? Well, today there'd be 250 or more really wealthy Black people, because, as you know, that's prime land right there. So it was taken from them. So a lot of times people say, oh, they're to give reparations, you have to teach them financial literacy. So many times rich people get bankrupt, but no one offers to teach them financial literacy. So many times the big banks have failed and caused real problems, and the government does not give them money and say, when we give you this money, you have to go learn financial literacy, because it would seem they're quite illiterate if they cause the entire economy to fail. So we're seeing that as far back as 1820, when slavery was still going on, by themselves, African American Black people knew how to make a way for themselves. That is so unusual that even women owned land, which is not normal. They owned property here, and owning property and being able to read was very important, because that meant they were able to vote. So my thing is, we should not think about delay reparations because of fear of financial literacy, because we have history of Black people rising up and gaining wealth. The problem is that it's followed by government sponsored or government allowed oppression in which what they build up is taken away from them. So how what do we learn here, and how do we go forward? So again, like, comment, subscribe, dislike. Thank you for listening.